The sun cast a soft glow over the forest as the day began to wane into evening. The distant rustling of leaves filled the air, accompanied by the occasional chirp of a bird. Buddha sat under the shade of a Bodhi tree, his serene presence calming all nearby. His disciples gathered around him, eager to listen and learn from his wisdom. Bhikkhus, he began, his voice soft but resonant. What you perceive as self is but an illusion, a fleeting construct. The words fell like drops of rain on thirsty earth, compelling each listener to grapple with their deeply rooted assumptions. One disciple, Sariputta, raised his hand, his expression a mixture of curiosity and skepticism, seeking clarity in the profound teaching. Master, Sariputta asked, if there is no self, then who experiences the sensations of joy, sorrow, or pain? Buddha smiled gently, his expression free of condescension, as if appreciating the earnestness of Sariputta's inquiry. Sariputta, Buddha said, imagine a river. Its waters flow ceaselessly, ever changing. Do you call the river the same, day to day? Sariputta nodded slowly, the metaphor beginning to unravel his tightly held notions of permanence and identity. The self you cling to, Buddha continued, is like that river. It is a stream of conditions, not a fixed entity. A murmur spread among the disciples, their collective thoughts probing the implications of this fundamental truth. Bhikkhus, Buddha said, drawing their attention back to him. The five aggregates, form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness, are impermanent. He paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle in the minds of his audience. Each syllable deliberate and profound. Clinging to these aggregates as self, he explained, is the root of suffering, the chain that binds you to samsara. Do you see how this tree stands alone, strong and unwavering? It draws strength from its roots and grows towards the sky. I followed his gaze, observing the tree's sturdy trunk and graceful branches. He looked at Maha Kassapa with a gaze that seemed to penetrate layers of doubt, offering not just answers but assurance. Imagine a man trapped in a dream, Buddha said. His words resonated, though my heart still carried uncertainty. But Master, I asked, how do I find peace in the silence? How do I quiet my restless mind? Buddha smiled, his presence radiating warmth and reassurance. The sala trees above swayed slightly in the breeze, their rustling leaves seeming to echo the wisdom being shared below. Vakali, another disciple, raised his hand, his countenance reflective, as if wrestling with the implications of the teaching. The wind whispered through the grove, carrying the scent of earth and leaves. Buddha gestured for me to close my eyes and breathe deeply. The flame, he continued, is neither the same nor different. It is a continuity of conditions, a chain of causation. Vakali nodded slowly, his question answered not just with words but with a clarity that pierced through the fog of doubt. Bhikkhus, Buddha addressed the assembly once more, his voice calm yet imbued with an unmistakable authority. Understand this well. To see the truth of no self is to break the chains of ignorance, to step onto the path of liberation. He paused, his words hanging in the air like the first rays of dawn illuminating a darkened landscape. The self is but a shadow cast by the interplay of aggregates, he said. A mirage in the desert of existence. Clinging to this shadow, he continued, leads only to suffering. Release it, and you will find freedom beyond measure. The disciples sat in silent reflection, their hearts and minds absorbing the teaching like fertile soil receiving nourishing rain. When you realize your interconnectedness with all beings, solitude transforms into harmony. I pondered his words, sensing a shift within me as I embraced their truth. Remember, Bhikkhus, he said, his voice gentle yet firm. The path to enlightenment requires not belief but insight and understanding. He stood, his simple robes flowing gently with his movement, a figure of profound serenity and boundless compassion. Let us walk this path together, Buddha said, not as seekers of self, but as witnesses to the truth of impermanence. With that, he turned and began walking through the grove, his disciples rising to follow, their hearts alight with newfound wisdom. The episode closed, leaving the grove filled with an air of sacredness, the teaching reverberating like a timeless echo in their souls. Another day, another journey. The disciples followed Buddha through the winding paths leading to the majestic Vulture Peak. The sun bathed the landscape in golden hues, its rays illuminating the jagged cliffs and whispering mists of the sacred place. Buddha paused, his robes flowing gently in the breeze, his gaze serene as he addressed the assembly with composed wisdom. Bhikkhus, Buddha began, his voice carrying like the gentle echo of distant chimes. Form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. The disciples listened intently, their breaths steady, each word penetrating their minds like seeds planted in fertile soil. All phenomena, Buddha said, are devoid of inherent existence. To cling to permanence is to invite suffering into your lives. A merchant named Javaka, seated among the seekers, spoke up, his tone respectful yet tinged with uncertainty about the teaching. Venerable Sir, Javaka asked, if all is empty, then what is the purpose of our actions? Our striving for virtue? Buddha turned to Javaka, his compassionate gaze unwavering, his presence calming even the most turbulent doubts within the mind. I felt a newfound serenity, my earlier doubts replaced by a sense of purpose and peace. Solitude is an art, Buddha concluded, his voice imbued with gentle strength. In this life, Buddha continued, your actions are like ripples on a stream, resonating across existence despite emptiness. Javaka bowed his head slightly, the wisdom of the teaching beginning to permeate the edges of his grasp on reality. Bhikkhus, Buddha addressed the entire assembly, his voice steady and deliberate. Emptiness does not negate responsibility, it transcends it. A young disciple, Punna, raised his hand hesitantly, his youthful face reflecting a mixture of eagerness and trepidation. When faced with anger or harm, respond not with hatred but with wisdom, for this is the path to peace. The villagers bowed their heads, the resonance of the teachings settling like seeds in soil ready for nourishment. Though impermanent, each hue still holds beauty, harmony, and meaning in its expression. Virtue and truth, he continued, exist within the dance of emptiness, shaping the stream that carries you closer to liberation. The evening deepened, stars now scattered like jewels across the velvet sky. The gathering disbanded, each disciple carrying the Buddha's teachings like a flame illuminating their path. The disciples absorbed the teaching, their minds adjusting to the paradox of emptiness, their hearts seeking the wisdom therein. The cliffs of Vulture Peak seemed to listen, their silence bearing witness to the timeless truths being shared that day. A wandering ascetic named Kunda spoke up, his voice deep yet curious, seeking further clarity on the implications of emptiness. Venerable Sir, Kunda asked, if all is empty, then what is nirvana? Is nirvana not real, but another illusion? Buddha turned to Kunda, his serene expression unshaken, his voice calm but imbued with the authority of profound insight. Kunda, Buddha said, nirvana is not an illusion but the realization of emptiness, the release from clinging to false identities. Just as the flame ceases when fuel is consumed, nirvana is the cessation of craving and the end of suffering. Loneliness comes only to those who believe they are separate from the world, he replied. The disciples exchanged glances, unsure of the hermit's meaning. Bhikkhus, he said, to understand emptiness is to see the true nature of existence and transcend the boundaries of ignorance. He paused, allowing the silence to seep into the minds of his audience, giving space for reflection and realization. Clinging to permanence, Buddha continued, is the root of suffering. Release it, and you will experience boundless freedom and peace. In the sound of the wind, I hear the voices of the earth, he said. In the silence of the night, I find the vastness of existence. His words carried the weight of profound experience. His life a testament to his beliefs. The fire crackled softly, its warmth embracing the group as the conversation deepened. He rose, his movement unhurried, his figure a beacon of serenity and boundless compassion amidst the grandeur of the peak. Let us walk this path together, Buddha said, not as wanderers lost in illusion, but as witnesses to the truth of emptiness. With that, he began descending from the peak, his disciples following closely, their hearts alight with the flame of understanding. The episode ended as the mists enveloped the path, the echoes of Buddha's teachings lingering like a timeless melody. Another day, another evening bathed in silver moonlight, the disciples gathered by the tranquil banks of the sacred Ganges River. The water flowed gently, its surface shimmering like liquid silk, reflecting the serene glow of the crescent moon above. Buddha sat cross-legged on the soft earth, his calm presence radiating peace, his expression unfaltering as he addressed the assembly. Bhikkhus, Buddha began, his voice steady and deep. Nirvana is beyond duality. Loneliness arises from clinging to the idea of separateness. Release that, and solitude becomes a gateway to wholeness. The disciples murmured softly among themselves, the lesson resonating differently for each listener, yet deeply for all present. But Master, the disciple asked, is light enough to overcome the darkness cast by those who act without compassion? Light, the Buddha said, is the truth within your heart, unshakable if nurtured, impervious to harm when illuminated by wisdom. Master, are these channels the habits we form and the thoughts we entertain? Buddha's smile widened, his eyes twinkling with approval. Yes, and science now speaks of this truth as neuroplasticity, the reshaping of the brain through experience. Ananda, Buddha said, imagine the sky at dawn. The darkness does not fight the light, it yields effortlessly to the arising sun. In the same way, he continued, you must let go of clinging to concepts and allow the truth to reveal itself. Ananda bowed his head, the metaphor illuminating the depths of his understanding, offering a thread of clarity in the vast mystery. The sky above began to shift, the colors of dusk painting the horizon in hues of orange and pink. The disciples sat in quiet reflection, their hearts touched by the lessons of the day. Nirvana, Buddha said, is not a place or a state. It is the cessation of craving, the extinguishing of the flame of suffering. He held the cup before the group, using it to illustrate his teachings. This cup, he said, may seem empty, but it holds space. It holds potential for what it can contain. The disciples nodded slowly, their understanding growing with each word. The signs of nirvana, he continued, are not external but within. A heart free from clinging, a mind untouched by suffering. Subhadda nodded slowly, his doubts dissolving like mist under the warmth of sunlight, the teaching resonating deep within his being. Bhikkhus, Buddha said, addressing the assembly once more, the path to liberation requires balance, effort, and the relinquishment of all attachments. A soft murmur spread among the disciples, their minds grappling with the immensity of the teaching, seeking to internalize its essence. Just as a skilled musician tunes their instrument to the perfect pitch, Buddha explained, so must you balance effort and mindfulness. The disciples absorbed the teaching, their silence a testament to their reverence, their hearts yearning for the liberation Buddha described. The moon began to rise, its silver light illuminating the grove in a gentle glow. Buddha stood, his presence commanding yet humble, signaling that the time had come to continue their journey. The disciples rose with him, their hearts carrying the lessons imparted by both the hermit and their teacher. The hermit bowed, his respect for Buddha profound, his gratitude unspoken yet understood. Your focus is not on reaching the end but on each step you take. The path itself, he continued, is the goal. To walk mindfully, without clinging, is to already embody the truth of liberation. Rahula nodded, his youthful determination tempered with the humility of understanding, his spirit alight with the wisdom imparted to him. As the sun set, the echoes of wisdom lingered like whispers carried by the breeze, promising peace to those who listened. Another day, the Buddha journeyed to a distant village where the fragrance of blossoming trees mingled with the hum of life. Bhikkhus, he said, his voice gentle yet firm, the ultimate liberation is beyond words, beyond thought. It is the realization of truth itself. He paused, allowing his words to settle like the gentle dew that blankets the earth, nourishing the seeds of wisdom within his disciples. Let go of clinging, Buddha continued, to concepts, identities, and desires. Only then will you find the boundless freedom of nirvana. The disciples sat in quiet contemplation, the weight of the teaching pressing upon their hearts, guiding them closer to awakening. Look into the water, Javaka, the Buddha instructed, his voice calm, like a steady breeze brushing gently against the mind. Javaka obeyed, his gaze resting on his reflection, distorted slightly by the faint ripples moving across the pond's surface. Let us continue, Buddha said, his voice a gentle call to action, not as seekers of self, but as witnesses to truth. With that, he turned and began walking along the riverbank, his disciples rising to follow, their spirits alight with determination. The episode concluded, the Ganges bearing silent witness to the profound teachings, its waters carrying the echo of Buddha's wisdom. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.